Good evening. It's day 95 of my Run Everyday challenge, closing in at 100. So I hope you soaked in yesterday's lessons on Socrates in 3 minutes. And today, as promised, I'm going to cover Plato in 2 or 3 minutes. Now, Plato was a student of Socrates, the most famous student of Socrates. Now, unlike Socrates, Plato did write everything down. And some of his most famous works include the Republic, and he wrote lots of allegories, which are like analogies, stories. One of his most famous allegories is called The Cave, and what you have to imagine is, imagine all of society lived in a cave, and in this cave everyone's chained down, so they're facing a wall, and behind them there's fire. And so all they can see are the shadows cast onto the wall in front of them. And imagine that this society lives in this cave for hundreds of years. And all they can see are the shadows. So what they do, they form all sorts of knowledge and wisdom and based on their observations of the shadows. Then one day, one of the people crawls out of the cave and he sees true reality. He can see the sun, the sky, the clouds. He can see the world as we see it. So he goes back to the cave really excited, and he tells the rest of society, hey guys, this isn't real, what we're seeing in here. This is nothing. What's happening in this cave is it's false. All of our beliefs are based on false observations. Because what's happening outside really is, he explained there was a whole world out there. Now, of course, they didn't believe him because they've spent hundreds of years basing all of their knowledge on the shadows. So they end up killing him. And this is basically an analogy that Plato used to describe how most societies, or at the time, were driven or directed by sort of blind faith rather than the search for knowledge. And so what Plato wanted to do was, using the Socratic method, which means basically asking good questions, he wanted to examine the world in that way. And he believed that society should offer a way for everyone to learn how to question their reality in the world. And so a huge thing that Plato is famous for is creating the academy, which is basically the very first higher education establishment in the Western world. And so we can thank Plato for the idea behind schools and universities. So there you have it. And I'm walking around in circles here and it's getting dark, so I'd better start my run. I'll see you on the way around. That is day 95 complete of my Run Everyday challenge, and hope you find some of those little facts about Plato interesting. The main takeaway is the creation of universities and colleges of higher education and the search for wisdom. The fact that society should provide training in using the Socratic method to all of society. But I always find the cave allegory very interesting. I mean, for instance, in our world, in everything that you see around you, how do we know it is real? How do we know it's not an illusion or a simulation? How do we know it's real? And you could consider that maybe the world that we see are like the shadows on the cave wall that people in Plato's story saw. Imagine if we based all the knowledge on what we observe around us in the world. It could be that this isn't the true reality. that this is a reality inside the true reality. This is just our reality. Anyway, there's lots of other philosophers that will go into that sort of thing. So I hope you found that interesting and learned something, a little something today. Tomorrow we'll cover Aristotle, who's probably one of the most famous philosophers of all time, known as the philosopher. Anyway, day 95 in the bag. Happy to have got that out of the way now, and thanks for following me, and thanks for your comments and likes. Have a great evening, and I'll see you tomorrow.